He spent 8 years writing about love. He never noticed when his disappeared. Tom wrote about love for a living. He'd published 3 essays on emotional distance, 2 on the quiet signs a relationship is dying. He had no idea he was writing about himself. The journal entry was dated 26 months ago. He did the math slowly. Then he did it again. She had stayed. For 26 more months, she had stayed. She made him coffee. She laughed at his jokes. She came to bed every night. And she had already left. What he didn't know yet was that she wasn't the only one who had been pretending. Tom and Nina had been together for 8 years. They met at a reading, a literary event in a city neither of them lived in anymore. She laughed at something he said about Chekhov. He thought, this one is different. He was right about that. He just didn't understand in which direction. Tom was good at his work. Not famous, but respected. The kind of writer other writers read. He'd published essays about emotional availability, about the slow erosion of intimacy, about men who were physically present but psychologically absent. Editors loved his empathy. His readers said he understood things most men couldn't articulate. Nina had read every word. Later, he would wonder if that's when she stopped believing him. Looking back, he could see exactly when it started. Nina began therapy in January of that year. She said she needed her own space to process things. He said he thought that was healthy. He wrote it into an essay 2 weeks later. By March, she'd made new friends he hadn't met. He thought, she's growing. I'm proud of her. By June, she was going on solo weekend trips. He thought, independence is attractive. By September, she was quieter at home. He thought, she's introverted. I've always known that. He had an answer for everything. An understanding, emotionally intelligent answer. For everything except the right question. They had decided together to move. Her idea, actually. A new apartment, fresh start, she'd said. He thought it meant they were building something new. He was helping pack her books when the box slipped. A stack hit the floor. The journal fell open. He wasn't looking for anything. He never looked for anything. He trusted her completely. That was the sentence. That was the one sentence. I think I stopped loving him around March. I'm not sure he'll ever know. He read it 4 times. Counted back 26 months. He'd written 2 essays in those 26 months. About love and presence and emotional honesty. He'd dedicated one of them to her. He sat on that floor for 40 minutes. He didn't look for more evidence. He didn't read more of the journal. He just did the math. 26 months. Her birthday trip that year. He'd planned it for weeks. She'd seemed genuinely happy. He'd felt close to her that weekend. 26 months ago. The essay he'd finished. The one about staying present in long-term relationships. He'd read it to her before submitting it. She'd told him it was his best work. 24 months ago. Their last real holiday. 7 days in Portugal. He still had photos on his phone. He still occasionally looked at them on hard days. 21 months ago. All of it. Every tender moment. Every good conversation. Every night, he'd felt quietly grateful. She had already been gone. That evening, he called his closest friend, a man who had known them both for years. He didn't intend to say anything, but he said everything. There was a long silence on the other end of the phone. Then his friend said something unexpected. He said he'd seen this coming for over a year. He said 2 other people in their circle had seen it too. He said everyone had assumed Tom knew. Because Tom wrote about this exact thing for a living. No one had said anything. Because no one believed it was possible that the man who wrote about emotional blindness could be experiencing it. In his own kitchen, every single person in his life had watched it happen. And they had all decided, privately, separately, that he must know. He was surrounded by people who thought he had it handled. And so he handled nothing. Nina came home at 9 that evening. He had put the journal back, exactly where it had fallen. She walked in and said the apartment was looking emptier. She said it in a good way. He looked at her, really looked at her, for the first time in what he now suspected was years. He searched her face for evidence of the woman who had stayed, when she no longer wanted to. He didn't see a villain. He didn't see someone cold or calculated. He saw someone tired. Someone who had made a quiet, terrible decision alone. Because she didn't know how to make it together. He understood that. Professionally, he'd written about exactly that. He couldn't decide if that made it better or worse. He decided, worse. 3 weeks after the move, he sat down to write. His editor had asked for a piece on what we miss when we're too close to something. He stared at the blank screen for 2 hours. Then he typed the first line. He deleted it. He typed it again. He'd spent 8 years finding language for other people's pain, with complete fluency. Now, in front of the one story that was actually his, he had nothing. Not because he didn't understand it, but because understanding something completely and surviving it are not the same thing at all. 6 months later, he published something new. Not an essay about Nina, not about betrayal or emotional absence or the slow exit. It was about something smaller. It was about a man who knew how to describe the view from every window, except the one he was standing at. Readers called it his best work, his most honest. 2 people wrote to tell him it described their own marriage. One of them said it helped them finally start a conversation they'd been avoiding for 3 years. He read those messages on a Tuesday morning, in a small apartment, alone, and he sat with the strange mathematics of that. The way his pain had language now, the way it had become useful to strangers, the way that was both genuinely meaningful and nowhere near enough. He didn't write back. He opened a new document, and for the first time in 6 months, he didn't delete the first line.